We got some new peeps up in here. So I thought it was very important to come on back in and talk a little bit about mindset because, fact, 80% of your thoughts are negative. That's actually a Harvard study. And whether or not you knew that, you know that thinking positively about things, sometimes it can be kind of hard. So I want to take you back to, I'm just trying to think of the date. I think it was 2012. It was a pretty wild year, but it's very timely. Just, St. Patrick's Day was just the other day. I was a public school teacher. I was working in a residential facility for emotionally, behaviorally disturbed youth. I had Bloods, Crips, and Latin Kings in my classroom. In fact, one day I had this very big, tall man who was like 6'5" walk into the classroom, and he was all like, jacked up. And I thought that he was my teaching assistant because in the school I worked at, teaching assistants, they didn't really last. Lunch would come and they would like disappear. They'd literally like leave and not come back. So this guy walks in. I was like, oh, this must be my teaching assistant for the day. So I was like, you can just put your stuff down, the desk. And he's like, I'm a king. And I was like, oh, this is not a teaching assistant. This is totally a child, a man child, a big child. And so he's like, I'm a king, I'm a king, I'm a king. Now, me being ignorant, not being very familiar with Latin kings and, titles and all that stuff, I fortunately had a student who turned and was like, Miss, like, he's a Latin king. And I was like, oh, I'm like, you're a king. I was like, I'm a princess. This is my kingdom. I'm like, have a seat. And he was like, I like you, miss. I was like, oh my gosh, please don't kill me. But in that time, it really helped me to focus in on the words that I was using, because in the beginning of teaching there, I was kind of like, what did I do? I left a great job. I left a great district. And it was hard to think positively. I needed a lot of help with that. But at the end of the day, I know that what we say is what we get. So when I didn't want to go into work, or I felt like I was exhausted, or it was like a really hard day, I tried really hard to flip my words about it. Instead of saying like, I'm so tired, I would say things. And I know it sounds like, maybe you're lying to yourself, but sometimes you got to tell your brain what you want it to believe. I'd be like, I am just full of so much energy. Energy is coming into my mind right now. And I know some people are going to hear that and be like, seriously? Like, that's what you want me to say? Yeah, actually it is. Because if 80% of your thoughts are negative about your fitness, your goals, your progress, we have to work hard to make the other part true. So I want to show you this little experiment that I'm actually doing with our kids. I have 3 jars here, little mason jars. We put a cup of rice in each jar, and then we filled water just to the top of the rice. And so the first jar says love. The second jar says gratitude. And then the final jar says hate. Okay. So what my children are doing, they're 4 and 7. They're not like, scientific geniuses or anything, is they each day come in and they speak to the jars. These are identical mason jars, identical amount of rice, identical amount of water. We measured it twice, right? It's exactly the same. Now, my 4-year-old was like, look at the love jar, okay? See how high the rice is, and look at the hate jar. Do you want to see that again? Make sure I hold them exactly together. Am I holding them exactly together? It's exactly together. Okay. So he was like, the love jar, it looks like it's growing. And the hate jar, it looks like it's shrinking. Now, what is the whole purpose of this? You got a jar that says love and gratitude and hate. Each day we come in and we're like, love, and we think about all the things that we love, and I love my family, and I love all these different things. And then with gratitude, it's like, I'm so grateful for my health, and I'm grateful for the sunshine, and thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then, my 4-year-old actually spits at this jar. He's like, ugh, gross, disgusting, hate, And what this is going to do, I don't have the results yet. We got like 28 more days to go here, but we want to do 30 days of measuring the power of our words, because what so many of us fail to realize is how important our words are. Now, I say that after being at our training facility, one of them last night, and one of the clients was like, oh, I kept hitting failure, like on her exercise, like she couldn't actually lift the weight anymore. She's like, and I feel so badly about that. And I was like, that's amazing. That, in fact, that's exactly what we want, right? That's why our workouts are only 30 minutes. That's why we don't have to do cardio. That's why this works, is because we want to take you to a point where your muscles actually fail. They give out. They can't do anymore. And so even just flipping the way that she was thinking about her situation, she was like, oh my gosh, like I feel so much better. Isn't it amazing? And you've had situations like that in your life where someone has said the opposite of how you felt. And you're like, oh yeah, I didn't think about looking at it that way. So, how to tell if you're thinking positively or negatively for a day, just for a day, jot down your thoughts. Write down. I'm annoyed that there's clouds out. I'm upset that I'm running late, right? Like, what are some of the thoughts that literally subconsciously pass right through your brain and you don't even think about it? Now, I encourage you to do this and actually look at how many thoughts you have. If you're a woman, it's going to be far more than what a man has. That's just biological. But look at some of your thoughts. You know, it's so important that what we think we put in ink so we can actually assess it and be like, holy bananas, like 70% of my thoughts on this piece of paper were actually negative thoughts where I was doubting or annoyed or guilty or ashamed or whatever the situation may be. Write them down. Do it for an hour. You'll be shocked at how many thoughts pass through your mind and you don't even realize. Now, once you've done this activity, I would love to know what actual numbers you come up with, because I once did it and there were a whole lot of negative thoughts I didn't even realize. And I try to think positively. I mean, I would still say there were anywhere from 40 to 60% of my thoughts were still negative. But when we look at something as simple as this little depiction of like our words, like we say love and we say hate to rice, right? There's nothing special here. And we actually are watching the fact that it almost looks like the hate is shrinking. I mean, the love almost looks like it's full. Like it almost looks like it's growing, as my 4-year-old said. And they're in the same temperature controlled location. We hold each one for the same amount of time. You know, the heat of our hands. I'm thinking about all the variables. It's the same thing. So the power of your words, even backing up to the power of your thoughts, totally impacts how you view things in your life. You know, a lot of people say, why is this happening to me? I say, why is this happening for me? A lot of people say, like, you know, how did this happen? And I say, how can I change it? Right? We have to think about what we're thinking about. And the best way to do it, it's not to take a medication and go to a doctor. Write your stuff down. Write it down and actually take a peek. Like, what the hell am I thinking about on a regular day-to-day basis? You will be mind blown at how many negative thoughts just go through. There's actually a mindset coach. I don't know if it's Jim Quick or somebody else, but he talks about them as ants. Automatic negative thought, ANT. We have ants and we got to crush the ants because otherwise they take over. And a negative thought, well, geez, that's like a freaking cancer in your brain, right? We don't want to have those going through our mind every day. But how do you know what to change if you can't actually see it? And what I want to give you is the how can I, right? How can I change this? How can I make this different? And I'll just give you, in closing, what I did when I was teaching in this crazy residential facility. I had a leprechaun on my door. It was St. Patrick's Day, this cute little, like, you know, dollar store leprechaun. And one of the kids got very upset and he ripped the leprechaun to shreds. I mean, like there was nothing left of the leprechaun. So I went out in the hallway, you know, and like any typical teacher, I'm like, freaking kids, you know, like I can't believe this. My own money I spent, you know, I put these decorations up trying to make my classroom nice and they destroy it. It's just what happened. Well, I picked up my leprechaun pieces, I taped them back together, and I stuck him back on my door. He had all like lines and cracks, you know, and then I took little Band-Aids and I put Band-Aids on the leprechaun and I drew a little tear in his eye. I actually have a picture of it that I will find and I will show you. But I put it on my door. Do you know that nobody touched the leprechaun? You know, negativity, it's our default. Positivity, it's a choice. How we think about our body, our image, our worth, our abilities, our strength, how we look, how clothes fit, all of it. Negativity is where your mind naturally is going to go. It's biological. Positivity is a choice. Do you let nobody touch my leprechaun? No one touched the leprechaun. He existed and lived on my door. Literally, I left him up until June. I was like, I'm just going to leave him at this point. This is amazing, right? Like, nobody touched my leprechaun. Because I was like, I'm not going to kowtow down to negativity. I'm not going to kowtow down to inappropriate behavior. That's my freaking leprechaun. And the fact that I put it back up, it changed the way that my kids treated me, my classroom, everything. They thought it was hilarious. In fact, they walk by, oh, it's got Band-Aids on it. Yeah, it's got Band-Aids on it because you ripped the thing to shreds, right? Where are your thoughts? Does your thoughts go here? Do your thoughts go here? Or do your thoughts go here? And how is that actually impacting you from a biological level? There's a lot of research. Dr. Emoto does a lot on this. Caroline Leaf does a lot on this. These are doctors. There's a lot of evidence that suggests that the power of our thoughts and the power of our words actually impact our results. So if every time you go to the gym, you're like, oh, I have to work out because I ate so crappy. Why don't you say, like, I'm here because I'm going to like treat my body, right? When you sit down and you're like It's my unfinished burger. Like, oh, I got to eat protein because I got to eat more protein, which I will eat that, by the way, cold. I don't care. Or is it like, is it the negative? Like, oh, I got to eat more protein. Is like, I am so grateful that I get to nourish my body, right? How can I nourish my body better? Ask yourself those questions, but jot it down. Do a little thought audit. See what's going on in your mind, and you'll be able to tell very quickly where your thoughts go. And spoiler alert, most of them are going to be negative because that's biologically how you're wired. So hope that's helpful. And I'll let you guys know 28 more days, or maybe it's less than that. We said 30 days total of viewing these things. So we will see what happens, but the kids are very excited about them because it's like a tangible way to actually measure the power of our words. All right, guys, have an amazing day. We'll talk to you soon. Mike will be back here tomorrow.